You want battles, you want championship drama, you want all the thrills and spills of what makes an amazing championship effort. Look no further than the Velocity Ultimate Masters. This fifth season has had more changes up at the top, more turnabouts than what you can believe, and ultimately, with just 4 rounds to go in this 10 race championship, you can split by single digits the top two in the championship. We head ourselves over to the highest race circuit in all of motorsport, to Mexico City itself, and the former Lady Magdalena Michuca circuit, or what is known now as the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me here today is James Otter. And James, this has been a back and forth championship where week on week, there is no telling which team is the one in form and which team's on top. What we can say is, after a 1-2 last time out by SCI, they are right back in the picture.
Yes, that's the critical thing, isn't it? There's not really much to say at the moment out on circuit because the drivers are all so tightly compacted, the teams are also tightly compacted, and it makes for a bit more of an intriguing event with the teams so close together. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Mexico can bring. It brings its own challenges, of course, a circuit with high degradation. It's all going to be about strategy, I think, this one tonight, Jake.
Yeah, and keep an eye on that strategy because they are going to be quote unquote down on a little bit of engine power because they are so high up with where they are. Now, let's talk about where we are because we were expected to run Suzuka at the start of the year when we were getting ourselves ready for action, but Suzuka had to jump up because of what happened at China, being a circuit that couldn't be run in the game. And so now from Mexico, we head to Brazil afterwards in just 1 week's time. So right now, it's all change in terms of what we're looking at second half of the season, but this is a great track to have overtaking opportunities, especially along the two main straights, the Principale and the Trancera. Those two straights are going to be critical for today's action.
Yeah, a little bit of an America's run now, isn't it, for the next 3 weeks, of course, with Mexico, Brazil, and Texas before we take a trip over to the Middle East to wrap it up at Qatar on the 19th of March. So, yeah, very, very keen to see how this one turns out here. Now, usually I've seen the likes of SCI perform quite well around circuits like this one, but, well, historically, but most recently proved to be a little bit topsy-turvy for them. So, could be an opportunity for the likes of ET8 to step in and see what they can do. But I'm looking forward to seeing, as I said, what that strategy is going to be because it's almost certainly going to be a two-stop tonight.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on those who have to make those calls and who's aggressive on them in this show. Collaborated, of course, with Hyundai, Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. Last time out, it was 1-2 finishing and Silo continuing his 100% streak out there in this championship with victories. And here was someone who did absolutely everything right. But the key wasn't the fact, James, that it was victory in the hands of SCI. It was the fact that it was a last gasp move, one of the great moves of the Ultimate Masters from Armateo 46 to put one over on FRT David to say, well, hey, look, we're not out of this and we're going to cling on to as many points as we can.
Yeah, they'll be a bit disappointed, FRT, that they weren't managed to recognise that podium in the end. 3/10 the gap between him and Matteo in the end. But a fourth and a sixth place is a very respectable performance for the Future Racing team. Venturi bouncing back decent as well with their seventh and eighth place. And AMR also managing to both get both of their drivers in the top 10 as well. For me, though, SCI, Snack and Silo, no surprises on that one. Snack getting pole as well, remember. So actually beating Silo on that occasion. But when it came to the race, Silo had it covered.
Yeah, Silo in full control. And then on the second half of the board, we will flick over and note that there are some big battles that were there to be had still. The shock being Alex Marciano mired back down there in 14th, but really a case of most points even there between the likes of AMS, AERT, and Tatum Restec, that battle at the bottom to avoid getting
Yeah,
zero money out there. Huge in terms of how they are looking to set. So with Caden's retirement, that certainly didn't help things out. But as we look at the standings, James, it's 7 points at the top, but critically, it is still a really strong midfield battle.
Yes, that's the critical thing, isn't it? As well, just pointing out as well towards the back, Tatum Restec really struggling out there, and that reflected down in P9 for them. But look at that midfield battle as well. As I said, 7 points separating the front two at the moment. ET8 on top still, but AMR closes out the gap. Future Racing Team's great performance, putting them up to P4, but the only 50 points separating third from sixth from the left and the right side of the board. And if Eurovision's got anything to go by, being on the left, a lot healthier in terms of reward.
It very much is. You consider if you're on the left-hand side of the board, you're guaranteed at least 150 euros for your team. The second half of the board, you're looking at 100 euros at best. You get your entry fee back by finishing in ninth place. It's a 30 euro entry into the championship, and you get nothing for being in last position. And Alien Motorsport will feel that if they had the 11 points that was scored by TF10 in the season opener, that they'd be a lot closer to Tatum Restec, and they'd have a really good chance of getting at least 30 euros on the board, if not 50, by the time the end of the season comes into play. Now, how will the teams elect their drivers from their roster of 6 that they've got? A few things to keep in mind. Enzo Sabaton has gone with a name change, so he will be up there in that first position with W Monza. So his new name, I believe, will be Yo POP, or however you want to go with it. But for the moment, you've got to keep an eye out on how everyone is stacking up. ET8 again go to Old Reliable with Ryderdal and Armateo, who have, at least on 2 occasions this season, have partnered up together. You have got the likes of Volakongen making his first start of the season with Snack, who had shown pace to be up at the top. AMR Aaron is in on the wild card, taking Dom's place in the championship. And Leon, who was taken out on a wild card earlier on, James, has been put back in with a wild card.
Yes, that's a critical thing with that extra wild card given as well from the Japanese Grand Prix switch over. That's obviously that Joker proving to be quite worthwhile for some of the teams. For those that prefer the technical circuits like Japan, Mexico proving less to be their forte. Kevin Zunberg returns to FRT alongside David. David very quick around here. Kevin Zunberg looking to find his footing. Of course, the previous man racing for Evolution Racing proved that he had some serious potential behind him, but since moving to FRT, that pace not quite being represented, so there's definitely a few challenges on his card, but this is a good circuit potentially to bounce back from poor form, so let's see what he can do for FRT.
And critically, Mathis GA, who is there, is the first driver this season to race with 2 separate teams. He raced at round 5 in the championship for RSC. He'll be racing round 7 with All Elite. So we'll be looking to try and pull them up the order with their effort. But let's take a look around this Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here. It's a 4.3 kilometer, 17-turn track. And as far as circuits go, there isn't really much that has changed from the initial circuit that was here before, back in the 60s and the 70s, and the run it had in the late 80s to the early 90s. You've got the run through the Moises Solana chicane, out along the Trancera here towards Esse del Lago and the Horquilla hairpin. You've got the Fini Stadium section before the S's come along, which are a little bit muted from what they used to be, but you've got that wonderful baseball section, the Foro Sol, which cuts in and gives half a Peraltada corner, so famous for rolling Ayrton Senna over some tyre bundles back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day indeed, as they go through then these slightly more flattened S's here. It's a little bit more aggressive of a corner this one in real life, but in the game it's a little bit more flat, which allows you to take the corner a little bit more aggressively then as he heads though into the stadium section into turn number 12. Very easily in qualifying to cross over that white line and invalidate your lap if you get that one wrong. Also very easy to lock up as you go through the hairpin of 13, but he'll approach 16 and then 17 in the hope that he can have the power down as early as he can, take it to that inside line to take and finish a lap around here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
The circuit of the brothers Rodriguez, which proves to be a wonderful place for racing, and overtaking is going to be key, as well as who has DRS when heading on to that final lap. We'll take a little look at qualifying just on the other side of this. Stay with us here with your Velocity Ultimate Masters here in round 7. And so Q1 has got itself already underway at the moment. The 18 minutes we've already cut in to about 3.5 minutes of this first qualifying session. No laps yet have been set, so we're already right into the mix of things. Big lock up there from Fedemori into the Moises Solana, turns 1, 2, and 3, and running along the Transera over towards the Esse del Lago. Kevin Zuneberg with a 119 flat puts the first times on the board, but today it's about placement. You can know that this is a track, James, where you can overtake. There are places to get it done, but anything from about turn 4 onwards all the way along the Ovale and into the Forosol, there is no chance of a move.
Yes, that's the critical thing, isn't it, as well? You've got to remember that these drivers have also got to deal with sort of setup changes. Some like to go for the slightly higher downforce, knowing that they'll pay the price through here, as unfortunately, the Angry Sharks racing team driver Ed Mori has realised by track extending at the S's. Gavroche going fastest, though, with an intermediate lap time. Make note that that is not going to be of any kind of significance at the moment. I'm also keeping a firm eye on the Hassers here, the FRT team. They've only got Kevin Zunberg in the car at the moment. FRT David is not connected into the lobby, so FRT are at serious risk of having their informed driver not taking part in qualifying.
And if not taking part in qualifying, then you argue not taking part in the race either at this stage. So this is a big concern right now for the future racing team. When you are in an event like this one and you think, oh, there's just one driver missing, that's all right. In a championship like this, where you're not playing for any individual championship, you are playing for a team's game out there overall, and you are missing one of your drivers as an automatic 0 out there. You've got to remember, they're only 13 points clear of RSC. They're coming into today 7 points back of AMR Esports. They're looking at this, and not having a driver today can be the difference of a €100 swing.
Yeah, that is pretty critical for FRT. They've got 12.5 minutes to at least get him in the lobby. I think they ideally need to get him in about 9 if they want to try and get at least a lap out of him. Now, David is known for being able to put laps in under pressure, but this is one hell of a pressure to get into the other McLaren as quickly, the other Haas, as quickly as he possibly can and have a go at this one. So keep an eye on that one, and we'll hopefully see 20 cars a little bit later down in qualifying, as Fed Mori again ends up making a mistake on his lap, so he dives into the pit lane. No laps as of yet on the soft tyre, except for now Christian, who just leaves the pit lane for Tatum Race Tech. Apologies, actually, just about to get started with his lap on a set of soft tyres. This will be the first of the curious laps that we need to see on the softs. Here we go.
This will be a sighter, and so this is where you're full bore. 8th gear, DRS flap wide open. Small flick over to the left along this straight. Here, the Principale. Spot your braking zone. Use all the curb on the outside. Chuck it in to the Moises Solana through 2 and 3. Very easy to get your elbows out or the tail out in the case there of Christian 07, who works hard there for Tatum Restec, immediately saving the battery and backing off of the lap. So obviously having a slide like that was an indication of, I don't really want to push with this anymore. You could see a little bit of the flat spotting there of the tyre there as he hit the brakes. So he'll be a little concerned about that, and will have the ability, the fact that he's backed off so much, to go out there and use the fuel for a second lap. Otherwise, would have been sat in a position where you've just burnt a set of softs for no good reason.
Yeah, better abandoning it early than later in this case. Maybe use these tyres again in Q1. But yeah, that slide proving that the circuit perhaps a little bit greener than the team anticipated. Tetem Restec with plenty of experience outside of the Formula One sphere. But within the Formula One sphere, a fairly newer innovation. And you can see that the inexperience just falling on the side of the Aston Martin Mercedes outfit. A couple of other teams electing now to get started with their laps on the softs, by the way. Angry Sharks Racing Team Spiga on an outlap alongside as well Caden. Might say FRT, but he is an AERT driver, as Christian's going to give it another go as he heads down towards turn 1.
Yeah, so backed out of it early. If you are going to make a mistake, you'd much rather you had it at turn 1 than at turn 12, for example, because you put a lot less energy into it.
Oof.
And again, a huge lockup. And that would have been as well for the fact that the tyre carcasses would have got cold. Again, he pushes hard out there of the Moises Solana, goes along the Transera over to the SA Del Lago, and this is where you got to shut the car in. You need great balance around this circuit because you got a lot of these slow speed corners in through the early sectors. It's all about mechanical grip. You get out of the Horkia over to the S's right now. This way you need it, but a cut track on the inside. That lap goes as well.
Yeah, not particularly comfortable out there at the moment as the Tetem Restec driver. Here's Spiga, then the Angry Sharks Racing Team driver. He'll be hoping that there's a little bit more grip for him in this McLaren. But again, look at that bucket of understeer. Missing that apex means he's going to cut short of this corner. He's going to have a really horrible entry into that corner, which has cost him time once again as he now heads through the S's. He's going to continue on with this lap, though, as he now turns into the S's. Will the McLaren Mercedes, again, a little bit wide through there, but able to recover some part of it. This is where that right-hander can catch you out here, and it looks like it's just about hanging on the rear as that McLaren as he now heads towards the stadium section.
Very highly strung right now, this McLaren, through into the Forosol, this wonderful old baseball stadium, which is converted into a cathedral of fans as they now sit up and get themselves ready for the Peraltada to end the lap, driving around the stadium and over towards the line. First real time in anger is a 1:14.7. Then from Angry Shark Spiga, who sets that one up then for everyone else to try and follow. FRT Caden running for All Elite in the kick Sauber, now trying to get as much as he can. Kicked up a bit of grass with an overcut on the inside. Surprised that hasn't tagged the warning system to say that's too much of a cut. But look at it around this circuit. Flat curbs around here. You can bully them.
Yeah, certainly can here as Matthias Grille going across the line then for AERT with the 14.5. Fastest of anyone. His teammate, though, Caden, looking a little bit shaky, to be say the least, but he comes across the line with another 14.5 of his own as well. AERT looking relatively strong in the early part of this Q1 session.
They'll take that. They'll take that quite nicely. Mathis Gie then giving them a little bit of hope with them 1 and 2 at the moment. Snack the focus right now for Shazoo Cedars Igniters on the brakes. Zane to the top on a 14.3. So Tatum Restec have a little something in the back pocket. 4/10 clear of Spiga, and this only a short lap. You don't expect much deviation, but a 14.2 now from W Monza, and this might be a circuit where you might need to see a 14.1, a 14 flat out of a driver like Snack here in Q1. He's really trying to drive with everything he's got. Technically 3.4 seconds up on his first time as he goes through. Yoopop is then going to jump up onto the top. So suddenly RSC are now 1 and 2 as here comes Snack over towards the Peraltada. We'll see what this time is. Volokong and his teammate is 4th. Snack fastest by a lot.
Yeah, by a considerable margin as well. 14.1 is what I was expecting the end of Q1 to be looking like here. We're already into the breaching into the 14.0s. It could be into the 13s as well if the other drivers have got anything to go by. I'm thinking Mateo, maybe even Ryderdal, both of the ET8 drivers yet to set a lap at the moment as well. Not much time left to get also the other Haas driver of David into the mix for FRT. That could be fairly critical. Aaron coming across the line for AMR looking sharp with a 14.1 of his own.
Yeah, that's great. On debut here in this one for AMR this season. So very happy with that result. Mateo 7th on a 14.4, which I don't think is entirely safe at the moment. Ryderdal only goes 9th. So that alludes a bit of concern for the two-time champions, the reigning champions, and the current championship leaders all bundled up into one. Is the fact that we got one car missing at the moment as well means that's only 4 names that would go out here of Q1, as up goes Ventari. Leon back in the car. He drove in round 5 and he goes 3rd quickest.
Yeah, I was expecting 14 zeros and 13 nines potentially at the end of Q2, so we're expecting some pretty quick lap times to be coming in here tonight as well. As the track has started to seriously rubber in here. Fedamori is the last person to set a lap of some kind, albeit Christian yet to set a lap time of any significance. Take the purple second sector with a pinch of salt. We know that's a glitch if you haven't set a lap time as of yet in the qualifying, as he now heads his way through the final couple of corners here now, as ASRT will be hoping to get both of their drivers through Q1 without any kind of worry. He comes across the line and making it look a little bit easier with a 14.377 P7 for him.
Yeah, that certainly helps to settle the nerves out there. Currently in a little bit of trouble at the moment is both of the Alien Motorsport cars of B. Danny and Knight. Gavroche yet to set a time in anger, and then Tatum, Restek, Christian, who we saw had that real struggle on both his laps. He's only 16th. Europa Op feels like that's good enough in 4th position. I'm not going to be threatened out there with times. Otso Zito is up to 7th position now, with Zane in 6th, Fedamori in 8th place. We now look with Gavroche here in the pink Racing Bull out there at this stage with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Now, critically, as far as this goes, David is not going to get enough time at this stage to get in, get a flying lap out there. So that's going to be, if he can get in, David at the back of the pack, as now here comes the charge along the Trancera straight and over into the Esse del Lago, really having to fight the car, bouncing over the first curb there, the anti-cut on the inside, and needing to try and get as much as you can. For a circuit so high up, there is next to no elevation change here.
Yeah, pretty flat around here, considering how far high in the sky this one is, to be fair. But Gavroche will be looking to try and get a little bit higher in the standings if he can. Does the Ventari man, because he's currently struggling down there in P18, albeit that 1:18.8 is not a representative lap time. Chucks the car in familiar fashion through turn number 14, wants to try and find as much of that front end grip as he can in that Racing Bull. As he approaches now the final couple of corners, a little bit sort of gingerly on the entry now, and evacuating that lap at all. He backs out entirely and now dives into the pit lane. 3 minutes to go. He will have enough time to get out there, but he's got to get a fresh set of boots on quickly, as AMS will be hoping Knight could get himself up into the top 10. It's only P15.
Yeah, that's the bubble. So if all your best is enough to bubble, you're hoping Spiga doesn't find anything. You're hoping Bidani doesn't find anything. They're both on outlaps at the moment. Mathis Gie is in a bit of trouble at the moment in 14th as well. He'll need to step up. And so too will Ryderdal and Armateo. They can't be safe right now on a 14.4. So they're going to have to spend an extra set of tyres to get themselves into Q2. And we saw how in the race last time out for at Suzuka that there wasn't a set left for Armateo to go out in anger and attack Q3. So you turn around and look at where they are now. You lose a set now. You've not got that set for Q3. You've got one lap to set yourself up, as here goes Spiga for a flyer.
Full confirmation, by the way, that we will not be having an appearance from FRT David in this qualifying session. His internet is currently offline, so he's not able to get into the session, so he's going to have to hope then over the next half an hour that his internet can get himself back online and get on here and at least start from the back in P20 for FRT.
That's a real stab in the back for them. They know they're going to need to be on their best behaviour to get up, but if there's any circuit you can pass on, it is this one. Now, AMS Knight retires the car, so feels like he can't do any better than that. So the bubble is set. All you have to do if you're Spiga right now is elaborate past a 14.6 and get yourself what you need. That's only a 1/10 of a second that is needed. Mathis Gie now knows he's got one less car to worry about because he's already ahead of AMS Knight. So there is a case of where can Mathis Gie do, or what can he do to secure his Q2 berth?
Yeah, this is an important situation here for ART because as well with FRT definitely not having a driver in qualifying here tonight, that offers one less position for out of qualifying. So every opportunity here for everyone to gain at least that one position, and that will be of the benefit of all Elite Racing Team, a team known to be towards the midfield and the back in Q2. Matthias Guillet coming across the line to go P10. Caden in P13 is on the cusp alongside Ryderdal, surprisingly for ETA. Knight is out of qualifying, no higher than P15 for him.
Mathis ties the time of Volakongan in 9th position. Bidani then just slowly building around, so has obviously abandoned the lap early on. You can see 12 seconds down by Sector 2, so has abandoned the lap and will need to go again on one final attempt to charge the battery. Here is Mateo, then on a 14.4 at the moment, and will be needing more. Gavroche is the shock right now. Expect him to try and claw himself out with a good lap time, and hard through the S's goes Mateo. He should be up there with Leon and Aaron Rye and Snack as a driver who can go out there, has won races in this one so far. Checkered flag out on Monza, on Oxozito, and on Volakongan, who couldn't get round in time to set a lap, but now here through the Peraltada, this is where you start sensing who's got what. Mateo crosses and goes 8th on a 14.3. That's okay for the moment. Ryderdal 7th, much better for ET8. They'll feel like they've got some security blanket. Volakongan only 11th. Spiga over the line will knock AMS Knight down, but puts himself on the bubble on a 14.5. Christian now through the Peraltada, straight lining for the line, can only stay in 17th. Gavroche to knock Spiga out in Q1, does so. Caden on the bubble with only B Danny left, but Caden here will realise that it's not his safety. Gavroche not safe yet, because Caden needs a lap time to beat Gavroche out there all right. And here comes the charge. No, improved but not enough. Bidani, you need a 0.4. It's not there, it's a 0.6. So both of Alien Motorsport go out with TRT Christian there. So takes from Restek lose one, and the Angry Sharks with Spiga out in Q1.
Yeah, very, very happy ART. As I said, they were towards the back in sort of Q2. So to have one driver, and that the like of David not taking part in qualifying, has allowed Caden to get through to Q2 as a result. So what is FRT's loss is AERT's gain. Biggest shocks for me, though, of those that qualified, Volakongan all the way down in P12. We know he's a man not particularly connected with console at the moment, but to be that far down for SCI as they try to close down on ET8 is going to pose a bit of a problem in the race if that continues.
Yeah, and so keeping an eye out on who needs what. Just the 4 that will go out with no David then for this Q1 session. It will set up a lot for those who need a very strong Q2 to set themselves up and get into the top 10. 5 will go there on the other side of this. into Q2, and another 5 names are going to need to be chopped off the bottom of the list before Q3 will arise and say the top 10 can go out there for it. Now, one of the big teams out of Q1 who have got what they've needed was the All Elite Racing team. They have done a very good job of setting themselves up. Ventari will be looking maybe a little bit tired, James, because of the fact that they spent all of the weekend in terms of what they were looking at working on a 24-hour race for Mind, which was brilliantly constructed over the course of 21 races in 24 hours. So either they're A, well battle-tested over at Ventari, or B, they are tired.
Yeah, Ventari do a lot of different events, to be fair, so it's nice to see them getting involved in the 24-hour event as well. I remember doing a commentary event a few years ago, actually, over the 24-hour. I believe that one was for Racing Effect or something like that. I can't quite remember. Either way, really, really good event, that one that was won by NSX. So nice to see them taking part in other events like that one as well. Really, really helps the brand. Speaking of helping the brand, Valakongan currently on a lap, trying to help his brand towards the top at the moment. He's on a lap whilst around a circuit that we should be expecting 13.8, 13.9s from now, I would suspect, in the end of Q2. But wait, make note, up above, the clouds have started to pile in a little bit, and typically at Mexico, when it rains, it does indeed pour.
Yes, and so if you're looking around and expecting it to rain cats and dogs, it very much could do. Volakongan then a 1:14.7 over the line, sets the first real lap of anger out there, but keep an eye out on the fact that drivers may be looking to save a set of tyres out there in this one. 15 flat from Caden. This is very much territory of a used set of soft tyres, just looking to try and rubber them in. Aaron Rye there going to a 14.7 of his own accord. So you're not really seeing anyone go out there, put a lap time at full pace, burn a set of tyres. Now, they still need that track to basically evolve as this goes, as we watch Otso Zito on a 1:15 flat 2, Snack on a 14.7. So this just, I would say, a Saita Monza 14.6 on an old set.
Yeah, definitely old set of tyres at the moment. We're expecting these laps to be around about half a second faster as it stands so far. There may even be some slight track devolution on circuit at the moment, if indeed the temperatures are starting to fall under the cloud cover, which has gone certainly from sort of partly cloudy to mostly cloudy on circuit at the moment. No expectation of rain at the moment based on driver behaviour, but as said, if it does even have one little drop of rain, usually it becomes a downpour relatively quickly around here. Keep an eye on that one, as we've got Gavroche looking to do a little bit better than what he did over in Q1.
Yeah, Gavroche looking to try and get into that top 10. He had to struggle late to put himself in the position that he wanted to, and now running out of the Forosol and into the Peraltada here. He's just slow, mechanical grip needed. He'll dive down into the pits, as will a whole host of other cars now who will look to set up for what they need in a Q2 sense. There is Ventari Leon. Very easy to understand who's in and who's out at the moment. 10 drivers have set a time, 5 haven't. So for Leon at this stage, a time on the board, just has to beat a 15 flat to be comfortable with the process at the moment. Fighting hard then through 4 and 5, and then the Horkia corner at turn 6. Double apex right. It's almost a case of they chopped off the hairpin as they've gone through. Definitely doesn't feel as tight and as flowing, or as loose and flowing, I should say, as this section here. These rights and left, you are on one track line. If you're anything but that, you can see time bleed off tenths of a second every corner.
Yeah, drivers happy to also get a little bit into the grass a little bit and find that extra little bit of time, because they know that it wears obviously off as they approach down towards the stadium section. Here comes Leon then, Ventari man, looking to continue in the form versus his teammate at the moment. He will be setting a lap unlike his teammates. He comes across the line right now. Only goes P8 with a 15.0, but definitely plenty of lap time to find purely on tyre sort of pressures alone at the moment, because the degradation, as said, is relatively high around here. So an old set of tyres, these guys are probably about 12 or 13% versus what could be around 5 or 6 usually. So just keep an eye on that one, because these lap times will tumble when we get onto the new set of tyres as we follow Kevin Zumberg.
Yes, and so when you've got a tyre that absolutely shreds with the likes then, as you look at the tyre allocation that they've got, That's going to be critical. And for those who think that, oh, all the tyres are the same, it's a soft, it's a medium, it's a hard tyre, James, it's not, because you have 6 different types of compounds from C1 all the way to C6, which indicates for whatever the needs of the circuit are, that's the amount of tyre degradation that we need. So if you've got a tyre that, or a circuit that needs the hardest tyres, like a C1, a C2, a C3, that's great. If you need to go all the way to the C6 tyre, you need a tyre that just burns as Kevin Zuneberg goes third.
Yeah, good luck that from Kevin Zumberg again on the older tyre though as well. Snack 14768. He's quick around technical circuits. This one slightly technical maybe in the middle sector, but not one of his stronger tracks, I would suspect. Matteo is where I would expect to be up there, but he's been not quite on the pace either, nor has Gavroche either in this one as well. Keep an eye out on the TRT man as well. Pardon me, sorry, the RSC man rather, in P12 as well. 15.0, well off the pace, but again, used tyres that will be significantly aged to say the least. 14.6 fastest. I'd expect a 13.9 out of these drivers before we get by the time we get to the end of Q2.
Europoop is that driver in 12th position, and effectively just a name change for Enzo Sabaton there. Raced in round 1, had that wonderful bit of strategy to save the 3-second penalty and hold up the group there with W. Monza. Was racing in round 3 of the championship. You can see how much Gavroche is having to fight out of the Moises Solana. Trying to trim the wings here. The biggest advantage you'll get is on the straight, so you need a car that performs very well in a straight line and very well mechanically. So you're looking for a car that is going to respond in the low speed corners. This is maybe the sector you give up because of that, fighting hard into the corner, relying on the lean of the car to effectively transfer the weight through this section, very much like you're rocking on a ship. Now onto the Ovale straight and in towards the Forosol Stadium section here. Fast right-hander down the hill, and then the long hairpin left, waiting to try and attack on the power, but you can't because of that curb. Aaron Rai, 14.0, so on fresh tyres, sets a real game changer out there. Fedamori on a 14.1, and that then over the line from Gavroche, a 14.8, which looked like it was on old tyres.
Yeah, must be old tyres for him. If that's a new set of tyres, they're in real trouble. 14.3 from Ryderdal. That feels like we're starting to get into new tyre territory. Snack 14.0 as well. 13.9 should be imminently. There it is. 13.9 from Yoop there as well for the team at RSC. The other RSC man, a Monza, also there's a good track for him, this particular one as well, with how he drives. He comes across the line, but he only goes P7 with a 14.1. Again, if that's a new set of tyres, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, if it's new, it's troublesome. A 14.5 from Zane looks a little bit circumspect out there on lap. Caden with a 14.1 knocks on the door and says we got 8 drivers within 0.2 of a second of Q2's fastest time out there at the moment. Kevin Zuneberg currently out, as is Armateo, Gavroche and Leon Faventari, and this driver who's yet to set a time, Mathis Gia here, who wants to get himself up inside that top 10 and show his previous team RSC what they have missed out on, coming down in terms of the championship teams over to AERT and trying to basically lift them up by the collar.
Yeah, critically as well, the Kicksauer team has an opportunity here now to capitalise on having both of their drivers through into Q2. If they can get at least one of their drivers through to Q3, then the Lean Green Machines could find themselves in a decent points haul at a circuit which the DRS train can be quite potent. Matthias Grier needs to set a decent lap. Now remember, this is the former RSC man, so definitely a lot of pedigree to do decently around here, but have AERT given him a good car around him, given him a good setup to be able to manage this one as he comes across the line right now. Can he get into the top 10? He can be. Tucks in behind Caden in P9.
Yeah, so that's now 9 teams within what is 0.3 of a second now of Europoop's time. And there goes up Ventari Leon with a 14 flat of his own. Caden retires the car from 9th, so obviously doesn't have another set to go were he to get into Q3. So I look at that as very much an admission of Caden can't do anything more. Ryderdal's looking at this going, I need 0.2. You got Armateo needing half a second, hasn't set a lap time on fresh tyres in anger. Neither has Kevin Zuneberg or the likes of Gavroche. So you sit down, Armateo's probably only going to get one set of tyres left for his run in Q3. So he's painting himself into a corner to qualify in the position that he needs. And you look around at how long it took Ventari Leon to get that 14 flat down. 3 full laps. That set's going to be no good if it was needed to be run for the race.
Yeah, critical, that one, isn't it? Because, of course, there's still around about sort of 8 to 9%, I think it is, on average, when you put on the soft tyres around here. When you're doing in full qualifying trim, it's obviously a lot more. Big lockup going into the hairpin in the stadium section from Ventari's Leon. He'll be coming into the pit lane, one suspects. That's exactly what he is doing there. Critically, they got Joop Ope has decided to move on to a set of intermediate tyres at the moment as well. So I don't think he's going to be going out any further in this session. A 13.9 is pretty much where you'd expect the fastest lap times to be within Q2. There could be a 13.8 on the cards if someone could find a little bit of time, though.
They could, but they're also looking around and hoping that it's going to stay dry for this final lap they go through. 2:23 on the clock, and they're just hoping that that rain can stay away. There'll be in-game about 5 minutes worth of transfer time into the Q3 session, so if it falls right on the start of Q3, they'll be a lot happier out there with how they all deal about it. We're focusing with TRT Zane at this moment in time on an out lap, just trying to keep the car steady, not excessively wear the tyres out, and give himself an opportunity. Now he's going to have to find that track position, because that's Kevin Zuneberg who flies on by and will now be looking for his lap. So he obviously doesn't want to be anywhere dealing with too much. And this is one of the things you get to the final laps. You don't want to be too close. You don't want to be too far away either.
Yeah, of course, because if you end up being too far away, you won't capitalise at all, especially if you want that toe all the way down towards turn 1, if you want to be in close proximity. Kevin Zunberg is in P14. There's a better lap in him than a 14.7, though, is Kevin Zunberg. We know that he's able to perform quite well here. He did do quite well, to be fair, as I said, back for the Evolution Racing team. So well, let's see if he can discover this form on his own here. Of course, David trying to get into the lobby. Still had no update from his internet connection, but Kevin getting a boot full of power as he gets over that sausage curb, and I think he's abandoned that lap entirely.
Oh, well, he's going to be running out of time here to get back around and get another one. He's only got a minute to now do this final section out there without burning the tyres too badly. Zane here is going to need a really strong lap. He will know that Mathis Gier and FRT Caden, both the All-Elite cars, are out of this session now, so he's only got to beat a 14.189 and maybe a bit more. A 14.0 at the moment would be good enough to set as Gavroche goes third fastest. That knocks Mathis Gier then out of Q2.
Oof.
Massive hit on the curb on the inside. He's okay. He hasn't invalidated the lap, but Zane is taking every liberty. Volakongan 13.8 goes fastest then, and will definitely secure his spot as he moves through. Caden is on the bubble and crossing the line. Zane gets only a 14.3, so Zane is out. Now both of ET8 are currently out in this scenario here. Crossing the line will come Armateo. Checkered flag out, goes third on a 13.9. That will put Fedemori on the bubble on a 0.1, and that's only ninth for Ryderdal on a 14 flat. Fedemori now out, could have the chance to knock Otto Zito out, and we still wait for Kevin Zuneberg's last lap. Look at the tail kick going through the Peraltada. It's not enough for Fedemori to get the lap. He was short 1,000th of his best time and is so out of this one. Only Zane and Kevin Zuneberg are now the drivers who can maybe go through, but we know Zane's lap's already done, so it's down to Kevin Zuneberg or Otto Zito or maybe Ryderdal. Aaron Rye will be safe in that 8th place. He doesn't need to finish the lap, but he will cross the line and go fastest on a 1:13.834, just to say that AMR are not out of this championship just yet. Here comes Otto Zito now to the line. Is this safe? No, is the answer. Stays on that 14.0. Up then the order will go the likes of Ventari Leon to 4th. Snack goes fastest now on a 0.7. And now Kevin Zuneberg, are you in or is Otto Zito out? No, he's out! He's out on a .1. Oh my goodness me. I was not expecting Kevin Zuneberg to be out in Q2. And now it's a case of what looked like a great day in Suzuka a week ago. It's horrible. There's the invalidation. And that will be that. So Mathis, GA, Caden, TRT Zane, Kevin Zuneberg and Fedamori out in Q2. Oh, there's some blushes spared in this one.
Yeah, there's no other way really to put it, to be honest with you. I think especially Otsazito and Ryderdal so close to being knocked out in qualifying. I think there's, what's that, less than 200ths of a second, about 25 thousandths of a second, I think I made that out to be, between Ryderdal and Fedamori in this one. So Angry Sharks will be disappointed that they're knocked out here. But Otsazito, that pace is just so not like him to put AMR under that kind of pressure, considering the great lap from Aaron on that occasion. So yes, important stuff that from AMR. They've got both of their drivers through just. ET8 as well, only just getting both of their drivers through. Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag here. I don't really know who's fan favourite for pole here.
Well, one thing we can tell you, there are 5 teams that have 2 drivers in that top 10. And those 5 teams are as follows: ET8, Shazoo Cedars Igniters, AMR Esports, the RSC Esports, and Ventauri. They will fight for the top 10 that will be coming up just after this. So Q3 now becomes a showdown of what teams can find that ultimate pole position. And into Q3, 5 teams, 10 drivers, and the best possible position out there. And look at how quick they have all gone out. They realize right now that it is going to chuck it down in the next few minutes. They need a lap.
I think it is actually already falling on circuit, if I'm honest with you as well, looking at the rain that's on the camera at the moment of Volakongan. So if you've got out earliest, you're probably on pole as it stands, because when this rain comes, it does fall. 13.7 is what we were expecting for pole, we think, now for the main race. But you know what? Chuck that one out of the window. It's going to be who's first out, who first sets a lap, and then critically, who makes sure it stays within track limits. I think Volakongan is surely the favourite now.
They are fighting to make sure they've got the best of the track conditions. Volokongan has done the best to get out there for SCI as quick as possible. So Owen seemingly knew something in chat that Volokongan was going to have a very good day today, and it certainly seems that with the best of the track position. Then it's the two AMR drivers of Aaron Ryan, Otso Zito, who have got themselves out in a very nice position on the brakes then into turn number 1, and you're going to be fighting a lot more now with grip. Watch out for oversteer. Don't plant the throttle down as heavy as you think you can. The circuit is only going to get worse as they go about these corners. Any invalidation here is just going to be you are in the back 5 rows then of this top 10, and you'll be looking at this going, I want to be focusing forward, I want to be getting what I can. It's decent at the moment right now from Volokongan, who just now fights his way through the first chicane as he works through the S's. Now the second part of them, this right and left, so easy to see the back step out. Had a massive scramble to go and get this time down and sorted, and now up into the Forosol there, that small descent down the hill and into the stadium section. At the moment they'd have called playoff for rain potentially with this work, so now these are the critical times. This is hot shot qualifying in a sense of the word. It's going to be a 17-1 for Volokongan, a 17-1 from Aaron Wright is just 13,000 short. Leon goes fastest on a 16.9. Ryderdal will go quicker than that as Mateo goes 5th. Otso Zito will look around. Gavrosh's lap is going to be a 0. Monza's going to get nothing out there. Snacks down in 7th. And Otso Zito having to go for a second attempt round to try and jump a couple more. Ryderdal has got ETA exactly where he wanted them.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised Monza's actually dived into the pit lane. I could only think that RSC have not fueled him for at least a couple of runs, because now they've got to put him in and the track is just going to deteriorate. So now what Aaron's going to do is try and give Otsozito some kind of tow, help him out a little bit. I know he's invalidated the lap again as Otsozito. So now a guaranteed P8 is now completely out of the window for him on this occasion. Gavroche is out there on his own, but all 3 of these drivers now are going to be taking it very gingerly indeed. There'll be no further improvements on here. Ryderdal, ETA are on pole. SCI are not on the front row tonight.
Well, it's very weird in this championship this year to not see at least one SCI car on the front, but Volokongan in 3rd will be the best of the cards that have been dealt with out there. Ventari Leon on that front row. Aaron Ryan 4th is going to be a threat. So is Mateo, and Snack, who looked like through both Q1 and Q2 on dry pace at least here, that he was going to be a driver who had everything to show here to say, look, I am silo light. P7 in the clutch, not getting the job done. He's going to need some help in the race.
Yeah, certainly will be here, unfortunately for him. Gavroche with a 29.0 is well off the pace here, but an opportunity for him to at least try and set some kind of improved lap. I'm not sure why Monza and Otsozito are electing to move on to an intermediate tyre, because I don't think we're quite there yet for Inter. Let's have a quick look as we go on board. Yeah, droplets are starting to form on the surface, but there's no rain as such being kicked up by the tyres. So, yeah, they're just trying to nurse their car around here, whereas Gavroche is just trying to set something on these soft tyres. Chucks the car in. It has a little bit of loose end grip on the rear. On the front, not able to connect too well in the slow corners. In the mid speeds, though, which is what we'll see in the S's, we'll see if he does lose the rear as he tries to push his way through to a solid P8 lap time.
Well, he needs just a P8 lap time, and I mean just that. So he'll be looking around and saying, what can I do? Aaron Rye retires the car and says, look, there's no way it's going to be quicker for Monza and Otsozito. Oh,
yeah, there it is.
Hold on to it. Just about manages it then. And because there was so much slide into the Forosol corner, that was just what was needed to slow it down, make sure there's nothing left of it. The tyre surface is going to be slippy. You always wonder when you go out there on the road how tough it is on a wet tyre or an all-surface tyre. That's a 122.2. The reason why Monza and Otsozito will be out there on an intermediate tyre, though, as well, what you've got to consider, it's not just about, oh, we're not going to get the times that's going to go up there. We're talking one position potentially 2 if you want to include Gavroche in the situation. They want to be as high as they possibly can. It's a race between those 2 drivers to say who is not 10th.
Yeah, any other circuit, to be fair, it wouldn't really matter, but that long straight towards turn 1 means that extra position is always going to help when you have all of that lovely toe off the back of the cars in front of you. So P9 might not be the most critical of positions, but it will certainly help.
Yeah, it really will. We focus here with Otto Zito on an out lap. W Monza is technically on a flying lap at the moment as he works hard through the S's section, needs this fast-flowing left hook of a corner to come along, and then set yourself up for that foot or so all over the curve, even in wet conditions, sliding about with the understeer, hoping that the tyre grips up on the surface, and now trying to work through. When you've got a wet tyre on as well, what often gets forgotten is that it is a lot higher up the car is, so you have less downforce to work with from the ground effect, and that's the reason why a 121.6 is faster than Gavroche.
This is the critical nature now for the pole. That's not obviously pole is now decided. It's now all about that position for P8. Monza managing to get over Gavroche is a pretty significant margin on the intermediate now. So track conditions are of course going to continue to deteriorate. So if you have decided to switch on to an intermediate tyre, clearly it was the right tyre to be on for them. 21.6. Gavroche in the pit lanes now. Also Zito looking to try and get P8 out of the hands of Monza. But again, this track is now starting to devolve pretty rapidly.
It very much is, and you talk about what you need going in towards turn number 1 out there on track. You don't want to be starting off your run another, I don't know, 16 meters back. That's what one grid stall is, 16 meters. If you're 2 places off, like Otto Zito is at the moment from W Monza, that's 32 meters. You've got to try and pull off. DRS now disabled, a 22.4 there from Otto Zito. Not enough to get by Gavroche. So Monza, I think that's the best you're going to do. I don't think you've got to be too concerned here with the time that Otto Zito's going to set, because he's got worse conditions out there at the moment and is 0.8 of a second behind you. So I'd say job well done there by W Monza in the circumstances to now be in 8th place and give RSC something to fight for. They had a tough time of things last time out at Suzuka, and so they'll be very pleased at the fact that they have now got themselves at least 2 cars in a really strong position to start attacking the future racing team, who are really on the back foot.
Yeah, they really are on the back foot, and considering as well that his teammate's only in P6, Monza being in P8 is actually not a bad achievement from the RSC team. It's not the best scenario, but certainly not the worst for them. They've sent Gavroche back out again, but the rain is now really starting to come down now, and expectations is that this is not going to beat his 22.2 that he's initially set, never mind get anywhere near Monza's 21.6. So I have a feeling qualifying is all done and dusted here, Jake, but you never know. Maybe conditions will start to just suddenly improve in the next 30 seconds.
Otto Zito then rounds the corner and heads down into the pits and will not have a chance to go for it, but Gavroche knows that he's got to go out there and he's got to do everything he can with this final lap. He has no other drivers out there on circuit. It is just him. He's just got to get the best out of it, and he's warming up this outlap now here around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez to just give himself as much of a chance as possible here. He knows how critical the lap is going to be, and he knows that he did it to himself, staying out as long as he did, trying to get a lap time down, and it just did not set himself the best chance here in a Q3. You consider his teammate got the memo. His teammate's second right now. This is a team that is currently sitting behind the future racing team by 33 championship points. A great result for them. 2 cars inside the top 5, and they could be all over the likes of FRT like a rash.
Yeah, he's now starting to try and tricky the limits a little bit here, the track limits, that is, rather, to try and find every 100th of a second he can. But even going off of that line, you can see the car is just very unhappy in these conditions. And hopefully this will be a drier race for these drivers. Otherwise, it's going to be quite chaotic, one would suspect, around here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Here comes Gavroche then going through here. I think the pace is going to be significantly down on his fastest lap, and I think if he does decide decide to dart into the pit lane, you'll probably see that is going to be the situation. You can see through the S's very gingerly through the S's that the rear just wants to not particularly stay stable. They're getting a little flick. He is not going to be improving, I don't think, from that 22.2, and I think that will be the end of qualifying.
Well, he'll give it a good hot go and see if he can get everything out of this lap. He'll burn the battery down to its very embers and hope that there is something left. Checkered flag out then here in Q3, and over towards the line will go Gavroche. Look at him, understeering through the corner and crosses the line, realizes not good enough in terms of that, so he'll be stuck in 9th out there here around this Mexican circuit, and he will realize a little bit left on the table. ET8 Ryderdal gets the pole position sorted from Ventari Leon and from Volakongan. It's then Aaron Ryan Armateo, Uopawop in 6th. You then got Snack 7th, W Monza in 8th, Gavroche is 9th, and Otto Zito is 10th. We're going to step aside for a few minutes. When we come back, it will be race mode for all of these drivers at what is the important 2/3 part of the season. A field that is now set with the fact that there was no qualifying attempt from FRT David. No chance to jump in and might not even take the start. TRT Tatum Restex Christian will be in 19th position for the 7th round of the Velocity Ultimate Masters. Alien Motorsport are on row 9 with Knight and B Danny, then alongside each other with a lot to try and climb up to. Then rows 8 and 7 then flick across the screen, and we will see that it was a very hard-fought qualifying to get into Q2. ASRT Spiega there in 16th with Tatum Restec Zane, the second of the Tatum Restec cars, behind both of the all-elite Saubers. Matthias Gie then is going to be in a happy position, or Matthias Gie there in 14th. FRT Caden then is in 13th position. To the middle 2 rows of row 6 and row 5, just missing out on the top 10, critically, Kevin Zuneberg and the Angry Shark Fedemori, as the top 10 was sat between 5 teams, Otso Zito and Gavroche, both with struggles in Q3 as the wet conditions bucketed it down. Otso Zito behind Gavroche by about 0.4 of a second. Then over to rows 4 and 3, where W Monza will have a race favourite, even though back in 7th place it is for Snack, should be making good position. Europoop will be in 6th, as R Mateo 46 will be in 5th position for RSC. Europoop is instead of AMR, which leads us to your front 4, where Aaron Rai will go from 4th position. Volokongen will start in 3rd, with Ventari Leon 2nd on the front row, with ET8 Ryderdal in control of the field. So that's going to be how it all stacks itself up then for racing action tonight. And well, James, I think it's very simple what the scenario is. It's a jumbled up front 10, and they have to get their elbows out and start fighting immediately.
Yeah, Q3 proved to be a bit of a challenge for a lot of these drivers, just simply because of the rain falling at such a weird time. We never even managed to get out onto the track before the rain started falling, but it was just dry enough for the soft tyres. It's about who can sort of manage that so aggressively, so well. And we saw the likes of SCR do well. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, 5 lights going to go on, 36 laps of racing. It's dry to start as we get ourselves underway here from this wonderful track. A slow start then off the get-go for Kevin Zuneberg, who is dropping like a stone. 3 wide it will be already between Leon, Ryderdal and Volokongen over towards the Moises Solana for the first time. Leon and Ryderdal are the ones who's going to fight. It's Leon on the outside trying to work through. Ryderdal's high over the curb. That's going to be enough. Now here comes the chance for Volokongen to go back. Mateo up to 4th with Europoop and Aaron Rai, who's dropped back a little bit off this get-go. They'll head themselves over then towards this Esse del Lago, and now as they look to fight for room, the Hawkeye is going to be critical contact in the back between Kevin Zuneberg and Cristiano 7. By the looks of him, maybe AMS Knight got a little bit caught up in that. Critical moves then off the start of this race. Leon trying to romp away.
Yeah, critical for Kevin, though he was on his own here tonight then for sure. David is not taking part in this one. Side-by-side action happening between AMS and ASRT. FRT Caden also trying to get in the mix as well. That's not FRT, that's AERT in that one for him as well. Ryderdal and Volokongen have got a lot more to lose than Leon, though, so it doesn't surprise me Leon leading this race.
Oh, B Danny's had a great start already, up to 11th and eyeing up 10th there with that lunge down the inside. Now has to go the long way around the Peraltada against Otso Zito on lap 2. They'll get the drag reduction system flap to open up for them, and here it's more critical than most because you lose some of the top end speed. You get more as they go through. Christian gonna have to dive into the pits, then that'll be a front wing change then to get that sorted. But Leon leads, Ryderdal 2nd, Volokongen 3rd, but look at the cusp, 1.1 it ticks over. That's disastrous right now for Ryderdal.
Yeah, that is disastrous indeed for Ryderdal now, with over that gap against Leon. But remember, the Ventari man on a medium tyre, and he's actually, Ryderdal still managed to cut off his nearest rival in Volokongen also on that medium tyre. So that means the second stint could prove to be pretty critical for him, as Gavroche getting into a little bit of a scrap here with Europe at the moment alongside Mateo. Gets to switch back on the pair of them. The ET8 man could get the pair, but on this end he's going to have the door completely shut on him. So they will continue side by side going through there. They're going to have to give up position through there. And there Gavroche now leading the way, or rather rather getting in that position with Gavroche. It's Monza rather in that one with Gavroche. Matteo trying to now defend, would you believe, from Snack of all people. SCI and ET8 is still hammering Ding Dong, but are two separate parts of the circuit.
Yeah, we talk about this being a close championship between them. 7 points the difference as they set and hope to give themselves opportunity. They are behind ET8 at the moment as Kevin Zunenberg picks up 3 seconds. When it rains, it pours. But you look around at them, you got to remember at the start of the season, they had to file a late roster change. It costed them 10 championship points. They could have been ahead coming into today by 3 as Fedamori and Caden go at it side by side. That's a lot of oversteer for Ryder Dahl's. Volakonga now goes up into second position. Use the medium tyre while it's good.
Yes, that's the thing. You've got to utilise these medium tyres if you are on that inverse strategy. Starting on the hard is the critical sort of setup usually for people here. Side-by-side action happening between Yoop and Aaron Rai here. That's AMR versus RSC. These are in their own little scrap in the championship. And in the end, Aaron deciding he doesn't want to really fight too hard against him. And he relegates himself down to P5.
Yeah, so that's going to be huge as they sit. So Yoop then is now into 4th position. Aaron Rai and Gavroche 5th and 6th as it currently stands. And so as they search out at it, Ryder Dahl, who is in that 3rd position, is now going to be thinking, right, so long as I can stay with Volakongan, I'm going to have the better tyre later on. I'm going to want to try and use as much as possible to set it up in a way that's going to give everything I can and more for these main straights. Fighting hard out of the peril tire, 7/10 of a second adrift, and will not be able to use the tyre as much as possible through this section. But this is where you start thinking about, I can gather back that time already to 3/10 of a second, to 2/10 of a second, to 1/10 of a second, not close enough into the Moises Solana. But for the moment, Ryder Dahl will be happy there. W Monza and Gavroche then fighting hard for position, and Gavroche just about fending off W Monza. And you've got to remember, Gavroche right now doesn't have the benefit of DRS to help, and that's critical as W Monza, with a second bout of it into the SA del Lago, takes the place.
Yeah, worst part of the circuit is this part now for those that are on the hard tyres versus those on the medium. So you'd expect a bucket of time to be lost here. Ryder Dahl managed to bring it down to about 4/10 of a second going through turn number 1. Gap now about 8/10 as he heads through the set of S's. He will get DRS going down towards the stadium section, which will help him close that gap up a little bit further. But ideally, he really needs to stay in the DRS or overtake Volakongan if he can help it. On these hard tyres, if he can stay within touching this of Volakongan, the SCI man is going to be in a lot of trouble when it comes to the pit stops.
Yeah, so those pit stops are going to be critical. We are expecting potentially a 2-stop strategy today being the best option out there for everybody. And so if you're thinking about this in the sense of, well, what does a 2-stop mean compared to a 1-stop? It means that you're not really relying on the medium tyres going as far as maybe they have done before. And already here on lap 4, you're getting an understanding of it. Kevin Zunenberg down into the pits then is going to pit on lap 4 of the race. So that is a very alternate 2-stop he's trying to work here. He's going to need an extreme undercut then to go and get anything out of this race. Ryder Dahl happy to follow the coattails of Volakongan, but I don't think for too many laps longer.
My guess is probably front wing damage for Kevin Zunenberg. Of course, he lost a few positions on the start, so it wouldn't surprise me if something had happened to the sole FRT man, who, as it stands, are only going to get a couple of points here. Everyone can score points here tonight, of course, with David not taking part for FRT here, so always a point to try and finish this race if they can help it. Either way, situation report as it stands is that Ryder Dahl riding it out behind Volakongan at the moment. Very, very happy for the ET8 man to keep doing so if they can help it. Might even have an opportunity to commit to an overtake if he could get within about half a second by the DRS detection point here. Ryder Dahl on top versus Volakongan, despite the fact Volakongan is in front of him.
Yeah, so for the moment, Volakongan will be happy with second place, but he would be very much in a position where he wants to try and just jump, gain a bit more, get everything that he wants out of this, and then some. There goes the sweet by. Just had a lot more, well, had himself a lot closer than by comparison. A big puff of smoke that goes by as well with the move. Otsuzito through then on Bidani. That for the top 10. And I think this is your indicator now here on lap 6. The medium, I think, has just plateaued in such a way that the hard tyre is now becoming the race tyre.
Yeah, you can see that with Snack getting the move done on Gavroche, but Gavroche is having a pretty poor race weekend, to put it mildly, at the moment for the Venturi man, as the hard tyre running of Snack manages to get by. Ryderdal now about 5/10 away from Volakongan, so Volakongan could still theoretically overtake him on the back straight at the moment, but we'll see as they go through the set of S's. Will Volakongan be able to close up the gap? I'll be candid, I don't think he is. If anything, he's losing time, and the mediums are starting already to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, so that's going to put them into struggle street for the moment. And so right now, you're looking at those mediums and you're going, was it the best idea to start? They know they've got 2 long stints to do on the hard tyres to get themselves home from this point. But so long as Leon's got a gap of 2 seconds, he'll be happy. W Monza's got Aaron Rye with eyes in front. And RSC are 20 points back of AMR at the moment. They'll need a bit more. Christian with 3 seconds. In comes Gavroche, though. Just 6 laps on the medium, deciding I'm losing too much. I'm going to probably go onto a hard tyre. Caden and Fedamori sitting then in their positions and wanting to work their ways through. But for the moment, it's W Monza who is the focus right now. And Aaron Rye has DRS to defend himself. But right now, you're looking at what's in front. It is a very nice Ferrari sandwich on Mercedes bread.
Critically here for the RSC team, and that allows them to control the pace of those behind and in front, especially if Volakongan's pace is as poor as it is at the moment on these medium tyres. Actually, an opportunity potentially to start sort of making some inroads, and RSC could actually get a big points haul here, considering they're the closest team at the moment in the big points with 4th and 6th. If they could get past Aaron, Monza and Yooppa could sort of work with each other in this one, as well as they try to close up against Volakongan and manage that P3 position.
So that P3 for Volakongan now is what they are starting to eye up. A driver who could be vulnerable, as Leon has to fight to get into the pits on that shallow line in. Just 7 laps done, as the likes of Volakongan stays out longer and extending the medium tyre stint as long as he can. Because he's got DRS, he'll feel like he'll be able to. It doesn't matter if Yooppa goes through or not. He's still in that main train. Ryderdal now will take some control. I thought it was the perfect time to make that stop. Then to set yourself up, get a set of the hard tyres on. And I am curious to see where Leon's going to come out. And the answer is fairly well, actually, compared to Gavroche. He's going to be at least 6 seconds clear. 10 seconds to hunt down to Mathis Gillet, who's there in 15th. Clean air to work with, I think, is a very good sign, and this is what we call the underrated style of racing. Give yourself air to work with and hope not to catch many cars before their first pit stops.
Yes, so keep an eye on the gap for P16 to P15, currently at 10.6, and see if that starts to fall down significantly, because that may make the call for the likes of Volakongan at the moment, who is now with a gap of around 10.5. I think he's at risk of actually being undercut at the moment by Leon, so keep a firm eye on that one as we continue with the form here. We've got a DRS train forming first all the way down to 9th as it stands at the moment, and then 10th down to 11th, and then 12th down to 15th at the moment, as Volakongan is continuing on these medium tyres. They may be falling off at the moment, but while the DRS train is happening, he can maintain station, though of course with him being on the medium tyre, we'll have to switch over to a hard, while the rest of the drivers could do a double medium if they want to at the moment.
Yeah, so that's the difference you've got. It's a question of how long do you want to extend on the tyre that is there. Be Danny dropping down the order, Volakongan happily holding, but you're looking around 8:16 at this point in time in terms of medium tyres, and then that only leaves you an 18-lap stint on the hard. That would be ideal at the moment for Volakongan. If he can just extend this out, he'll get to effectively 9 laps on the stint, and he will be very happy with the work that he's got and done as they go. Shazoo, knowing that they've got to think a little bit outside of the box here today, will be sitting down, Shazoo Seeders Igniters, and going, yeah, this is great. We're still in range of Ryderdal. We're not falling out of the realms of possibility. In the moment we drop the second, we basically force everyone else to go play chase while we come in and make a stop. It's almost the flawless plan.
Yeah, it's almost a flawless plan, depending on whether Snack can make inroads. The problem is that Snack is currently stuck in the DRS train at the moment on the alternate hard tyre here. As another lap going in for Volakongan. He's hoping that he can try and match the strategies of those on the hards, but I think he's going to find the cliff edge is going to be imminent. At the moment he gets out of the DRS train of Ryderdal, he's going to be a sitting duck. As it stands so far, though, plenty of DRS at his disposal. Volakongan looking a little bit more comfortable now, I think.
Yes, I think you're settling down. You realise that the tyres are going to work a certain amount, and there's a case of you either just want the good life of the tyre, which is what we're seeing with Leon, for example, and Gavroche, or you want to be in a position where the tyre's going to last a little bit longer, and normally you get more wear stuck behind another driver, but when the DRS is so prevalent around here, this is what Volakongan needs to out-strategize and just think his way over to the front. And everyone's in a holding pattern at the moment, all the way back to 11th place, where Knight's dropped about 1.2 seconds. So this entire front group right now, stuck in a train, not really able to make a move right now. They're all just waiting for that strategy at the first stop to come into play. And this is where you start looking at where are your teammates compared to you, and will you need to double stack?
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for Volakongan going through turn 14 there. Losing a little bit of the front end here as he's starting to feel the nature of the medium tyres now really coming into play. You can see the blistering on the outside edge of the right side tyre there for Volakongan. If we compare that to the likes of Leon on the fresh hard tyres, you can see how much cleaner those hards are. The gap now between him, his foot, and the guy in front was about 4 seconds. So he's clearly found a bucket of time. So he's definitely got the undercut on Volakongan. No issue whatsoever, but Volakongan may be considering an inverse strategy. It's surely not a one-stop. It's very difficult to do a one-stop round here. Two-stop is preferable, but he might be looking for it.
Well, here's the issue. Leon then sees Mathis Gier into the pits for a medium tyre, only went 10 laps. So that indicates to me that you're just trying to extend 2 sets of mediums, or just get the medium stint done now to jump up the order. So that's what Mathis is going to be looking for at the moment. Grass kick up on the camera, certainly keeping an eye out for it. But you're also looking around here for Volakongan and saying, well, a one-stop is possible if I can baby the tyres through this phase of the race. 25 laps on the hard tyre, I don't think is possible. But the longer that you go, maybe 21, 22, maybe that's the extreme limit of what you're going to be capable of doing. We'll have to keep an eye out on it, because at the moment it's the DJ Khaled strategy. Another lap then for Volakongan, another one for Bidani, and Yoopawop can only watch here and can't really throw any sort of haymaker to make it happen. He pulls out into the mirror to try and get a move. Here comes Mateo. He's tired of waiting. He gets one.
Dear.
He gets 2 down the inside. Almost contact there with Aaron Rai. Monza will hold the place. A little optimistic. Might become a lot optimistic. They all have DRS on the run here along the Transera over to the Esse del Lago. Covered on the inside by W Monza. But here comes Mateo around the outside with no end plate on the front left.
Yeah, wing damage from that one as well. Very uncharacteristic mistake that from Mateo. Very amateurish, actually, from Mateo there as well. I don't even think he was looking for the overtake. I think he was just trying to get alongside the likes of Monza, try and put him offline so then he can have a bit of an advantage going down that main straight towards turn 4. So very uncharacteristic mistake that from the ET8 man, and he's going to find himself a severe sitting duck against Snack. With that wing damage now going through turn 1, it's going to be shredding his tyres.
It will do, and so you'd expect that he's either got to try and nurse this to the stop and get himself in, or he might pitch slightly earlier and force away his strategy then for the second half of the race. So he will stay out then. He'll try and nurse and manage the damage that he's got out there at the moment. You've got to remember that Volakongan, who has been so good with Jesus Seeders igniters at the moment, he's won from all the way back in season number 1. He has been a part of this lifeblood of this series for a very long time. Yoopawop goes through on Volakongan though, and that's the move then for second place. And so they're getting the chances now to make those moves and those gains. Leon just 6 seconds off the back of Zane and this train would indicate that he's very clearly got the undercut on everybody else. The question will be, though, who stays out and at what level of the pace are they going to be working with if this is a game of one stop versus two? Mathis Gier, for example, is there with Kevin Zunerbergen scrapping for places and not really getting much out of those medium tyres. We focus here with Volokongan, who is now outside of a second of Europa Wop. Surely he's got to come in this time.
I've got to say that I think that the hard tyres probably would go around about 18 laps before they start to feel particularly poor. So that means it's basically got to be a 50-50 strategy on a set of mediums when he's now out of the DRS of Uop at the moment is Volokongan. These tyres have fallen off. He's in the pits. That doesn't surprise me. He is going to commit to this two-stop because the hard tyres will not go the distance. 22 laps is going to be a particularly tough ask. I think this will be another set of mediums and then a set of hards to the end of this race. We'll see what Volokongan does. Dives into the pit lane. It is a set of hards, so it might be a strategy to get to the end, but it's going to be a tough ask.
Well, it's allowing flexibility to potentially save on the hard tyres, to go aggressive on them and get another set of mediums on. And you're looking around, you're trying to give yourself options. Gavroche has gone through, then on Volokongan, then as he's out of the pits, 3 seconds back, but with 7-lap fresher tyres compared to Gavroche. So he will be pretty stoked with the way that has set itself up. And Ventari Gavroche, I think, is going to be looking at this going, I think I'm playing gunner today, and that will be the job of the Ventari Racing Bull at the moment, fighting through the corners. Remember, Ventari currently on the wrong side of the board. They've got 100 euros to their name at the moment. They want to get at least 250 euros out of this championship. To do that, they've got to move up to third in the championship. And in order to do that, they've got to score 40 more points between now and the end of the season over AMR, who are 3rd and 7th at the moment. Focusing with W Monza, they haven't let Ryder Dahl go out off into the distance here. They're still very much in the tank on the waiting game, using about half the battery so far. And again, Europa Wop pulls out of line because he doesn't want to catch Ryder Dahl into these corners.
Yeah, what a horrible race this has been, though, for FRT. Kevin Sundberg down in 17th place. He's got a time penalty to his name. His teammate nowhere to be seen with all of those technical issues as well. And the team that was looking so strong off of the back of the Japanese Grand Prix, scoring very close to nil point here tonight, indicates for me that they're going to be back on the wrong side, the right side, if you will, of the board after this one, because of the big points all that's going to be coming in the favour, we suspect, after penalties and after pit stops for Venturi. Leon looking relatively decent at the moment on 7-lap old hards.
Yeah, so there is a lot of decent pace that has been found from drivers already here in this one. We're almost already at the halfway stage of this race. That will tick through at the end of lap 18 here of 36. W Monza in 4th position, but Ryder Dahl currently your leader. Matteo there in 5th. He's actually doing quite well with the damage that he's got to his front then to hold his station. But I would worry about the driver behind of Snack just getting the leapfrog and getting the march. You can see having to take a shallower line through the final corner of the Peraltada just to make sure that there is rotation in. Knight will come into the pits for Alien Motorsports. That's to get off of the set of hard compound tyres, and that will be medium, 10-lap stints to the end.
20 laps to go in this race as well. So here is the situation for AMS Knight, who's actually pitting from P11 as a decent result so far on the cards here for AMS here, whilst the likes of TRT Christian is just humbled at the moment down in P19, and Kevin Sundberg really struggling in 18th with those time penalties as well. Snack trying to get past Matteo. Matteo, remember, with that wing damage now, he's got to try and maintain this one. An opportunity on the cards for SCI Snack to try and put a dent in ET8 performance with that a very uncharacteristic mistake from Matteo. Meanwhile, at the moment, RSC are very, very happy indeed at the moment on the right strategy. 2nd and 4th place. They'll be hoping that this is cooking up a really big points haul for them to close down on the front 3.
Let's also note that Volokongan is about 10 seconds off the back of Leon, and he has got to get by Gavroche out there in this race, and he's about half a second behind, so that will come along at the next big overtaking zone out there. You would feel they work along the Ovale Straight and over in towards the Ferrosol here, this wonderful baseball stadium, and you're getting the sense of this needs to be an overtake. It's not a want. You need to clear this move, and you need to clear it very quick. Gavroche will be as much of a nuisance as possible if you leave any time to chance to wait. So you're trying to get yourself back in range with where everyone else is. There's the DRS flap open, and now can the Alpine move over and get this move done? It's going to be pretty comfortable, all things said and told, straight down the inside. Thank you very much. No argument into the Moises Solana.
Yeah, Gavroche is not having a very good race personally here tonight, so he'll be hoping that he could just maintain his pace. He's obviously got 7-lap-old older hard tyres rather in this one as well, so Valakongan able to just edge his way past 8 seconds, about 9 seconds rather, to Leon at the moment, who's now just catching up to the back of the first set of people yet to make their pit stop off of the hard tyres in Zane. But he's going to find that the tyre delta is going to be pretty significant, as it looks like the clouds again just looking a little bit dark for my liking.
I agree with you. I was just about to point out that there is a way that those drivers who have pitted first, who have tried to gamble on that strategy, could get caught out, and the answer would be the field gets neutralised. They all come in for intermediate tyres. Mathis Gier gets 3 seconds then for multiple corner cut warnings out there. We're on board with Leon. He's caught the back of Zane. Zane is off the back as Europoop goes to the race lead. Volokongan sets the fastest lap. Leon dives by Zane, is now only a second off the back of Spiga and Caden, and the entire train now, which is set for the race lead. Europoop in control now for RSC. Enzo Sabaton will be happy with that as he now tries to work himself forward. ET8 Ryderdal second, Aaron Ryan third, and Kevin Zuneberg has retired the car from the race. So Zuneberg getting nothing, absolutely nothing. This is the biggest disaster for the Future Racing team.
I'm a little bit gobsmacked that they've allowed him to retire, if I'm perfectly honest with you, but one suspects that's just out of pure frustration for the Haasman, who has just got no form at all. Honestly, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all at the moment with Kevin Zumberg. He needs to try and get his A-game back into the game at the moment, as does the former EVR, now FRT man. Back towards the front, though. You up at the moment, dealing, pretty well at the moment, up at the front with 17-lap-old hard tyres. This is where we would suspect pit stops start to come into fruition now for the drivers on these hard tyres, but as it stands so far, Leon is able to continue with his tyre delta versus everyone else as he's closing up on the likes of Spiga. Is he going to look for it going into turn 1? I wonder. Gap around about 0.3 of a second will be close, but perhaps not close enough for the man now chasing down everyone yet to make a pit stop.
He'll want to chase. And what he's got, that's close. As he went there with Spiga, did something come off of the front of the car there as he was now looking to try and get that progress over to the next section. Late over to get the turn in on the inside. He just about manages to squeeze away by Spiga there. Would have seen a ghost in the rear mirror as he would have prayed for just enough rotation to the left. And this is what you got to do with better tyres. 7-lap, fresher tyres. You're just trying to cut through one at a time. Massive kick of oversteer through turn 7 and 8. And now he's got to really just settle down, focus, and pick him off. Caden's next.
Yeah, nicely done, that one as well. Very well crafted dive bomb. Unlike the sister team that he's being represented by, although not sister team in Ventauri versus ET8, Matteo sort of be taking a few lessons maybe from Leon's dive bomb, able to control that dive as he now chases down the likes of AERT's Caden.
Well, I'm looking around 19 laps on this hard tyre, and I think you're staring down the barrel of these drivers just holding it out for a one-stop, and it's almost everyone holding it out in some way, shape or form for a one-stop strategy. Europoop is safe then into the Moises Solana from ET8 Ryderdal, and you look behind at the group now that sits. You've got Armateo and Snack, who are there in the middle, 5th and 6th. Otso Zito and Aaron Reyes, 3rd and 7th. You know, you can't just sit back and be passive in a race like this, and this is the difference as Caden gets overtaken now by Ventauri Leon. Leon's been aggressive at the start of this race, and now he's in that group and effectively has built an entire stop, and he's got the tyre life to go attacking every lap.
This is a critical one. I'm just keeping an eye out on the situation with the likes of Volakongan at the moment. So his tyres are now 6-lap old. They'll be 22-lap old when he comes across the line if he decides to do the one stop, whilst everyone else is currently on 20-lap old hards when they come across the line. If these guys are able to get these tyres to around about 22 laps, Volakongan has an outside chance of getting the one stop to work, an absolute treat here, and that would obviously be a massive benefit, but he's got to try and make these tyres last. I have seen punctures for people that haven't made their pit stops at this early part anyway, at around about 20 laps. So clearly these tyres have been able to be maintained. I would suspect about 55 to 60% worn at the moment here, as we see Leon trying to close down on Fedimori.
Spiga into the pits then. That'll be for a set of medium tyres, and that could even be as aggressive towards the end of a medium soft if you wanted to be so brave at it, but I doubt we'll see that. I think we'll see two even medium stints to go and bring themselves home and dry. Oh, big lunge. Down the inside. It's going to have to go around the outside of the Esse del Lago, or even cut up and under. Oh, brilliant stuff there from Leon. Down the inside and still having to fight. He's got to get the clearance off the exit here compared to Fedimori. He'll have better grip and he'll get it just before the S's. That's just masterful car control. Didn't get what he wanted as Matthew Gie now retires the car.
Yeah, I'm really surprised again. Allowed the AERT driver to retire, because that would have been 2 easy points for them. But clearly not happy at the moment are the AERT drivers. Caden down in P10 being overtaken by Leon with ease. Fedimori was just nudged out of the way, you'd have to say, going through into turn 4. But it allowed Leon to put Fedimori offline, get the switch back, and then with the extra grip available on those tyres, which are 7 laps younger, he's able to get that move done. He chases down Otsazito as Fedimori pits.
Yeah, Caden will also follow, so they both make the call. Volakongan's not a million miles away from this group for the lead. Europort loses out. Ryderdal now back to the front of this field on lap 22. So they are getting to the limits now of what is possible, and they will be worried about the tyre life, especially with how flat this surface is. Any wrong move on the curbs will pop a tyre, and so they're going to have to be very cautious about the level that they are willing to reach at this stage. It's been a real thinker's race here today around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and it's not often you get to see him like this.
14 to go in this race here, and I'm a little bit unsure about the situation with Volakongan. He's now catching to the back of Zane in this one here. He's going to have significantly better tyres, so he'll probably be able to get through the traffic a lot quicker, while Leon, on the other hand, is just taking his time. He'll be hoping to get past Otsazito quickly, although I'm expecting a flurry of pit stops imminently to try and cover off of all of these undercuts, as we are just following a little close battle here with Leon. He wants to get this past Otsazito, but he's currently being held up a little bit by Snack, who actually is out of the DRS of those in front here. It looks like we've got Matteo in the pits. Is he going to change his front wing, I wonder?
And Leon in. Oh, that's huge. So he's going to effectively take his second stop now, and he's going to be on exactly the same call as everybody else. Our Matteo then is going to jump in on a set of medium tyres. It's going to be another set of hards then for Leon. And so as he sits down with it with 13 laps to go, he's done all his stops for the race. He'll be happy with what he's done. He just knows that the mediums will run away for a little bit. They'll come back, and he won't have to stop again, and everyone's going to be a pit stop back of him.
Critical here. It's about whether the medium tyres will go the distance or not. I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest with you, because around about 11 or 12 laps, you can see how much they were falling off a cliff. They've got to take them at least 13, some even later than that one. I'm thinking Spiga's going to have to take them 15, so that's not going to happen here. So Leon actually in a really, really good position for the later part of this race. Perhaps not quite now, but certainly later, especially if the medium tyre runners keep battling, as is Matteo and Caden at the moment.
Well, if they're going to keep tripping up over each other and they're going to just stay out there, they know they're trying to make a one-stop strategy work. On the one-stop, it's an undercut. On the two-stoppers, he's going to be very happy with his placement as he goes. Leon's come out just behind Bidani. In comes Ryderdal, and this would be to cover off anything that's going on from those who have pitted, like Matteo, followed in by W Monza, followed in by Snacks. So now they're starting to work out, where are they going to be? What's the call going to be? As who can keep themselves in the best place? Volakongan will still have one more stop to go and will probably be eyeing up a medium tyre at the end of this race. So keep that in mind, that Volakonga not out of the possibilities here, but for the moment, Spiga, Ryderdal, Fedamori, they're all there, they're all happy at the moment, and keeping everything steady. Armatea then 11th, Leon in 13th, but it's about staying with the group here at the moment. Focus on Aaron Ryan, Otso Zito, and your leader, Yoopop, at the moment, still yet to put even one stop down on the board with what is 12 laps to go. And you can get 12 laps out of a medium.
Yeah, 2.5 separating Ryderdal from Leon at the moment. So if that gap can remain around about that way, by the time that these tyres begin to really fall off, Leon is going to be like lightning out on circuit at the moment, as we're starting to see a few little breaks in the clouds here as the track will begin to warm up. That's not going to help those on the mediums, because that will shred the tyres even more. Well, I mean, the hard tyre runners will be happy to have a little bit more grip, as it looks like Yoopop is now also in the pits.
Yeah, there was a car slow there on the right, trying to let all the traffic through. That's a tyre pop.
23 lap puncture.
Yeah, so that's that's the front, absolutely caved in there, and that's going to be really tough to bring home with the tyre pop. It might even be a rear tyre that's gone out there as it sat down pretty much to the back left. Look at this, limping this one back and just struggling to get any turn of momentum. You can see it. It's the rear left tyre that has let go for Zane as he tries to get it back. Tatum, Restek now are going to be looking at only a handful of points at the moment, the way this has gone.
Just trying to do the math at the moment here. I think if they're 23 lap old tyres, Volakongan will finish this race with 23 lap old hard tyres when he comes across the line. So one has a suspicion here that Volakongan is going to be taking that one from Zane and thinking, oh, this is going to be close.
You take that as a message and go, can I push it 23? Well, if AMR can push both of their drivers here 24 laps on a set of hard tyres, you feel like it's possible. In comes Aaron Rye then for the stop. Otso Zito has got to go 25 laps on a set of hard tyres.
There's a puncture imminent, I suspect, here, as we now get approaching 70, maybe even 80% wear on those hard tyres. No surprises, Otsozito is not going to fight Volakongan for that one here, as Ryderdal setting the fastest lap of this race. Look how gingerly Otsozito is going to be driving this car now, especially through the slow speeds, because we can see the tyres will be particularly strained now, you would have to say. He's going to take these tyres all the way now to, obviously, the pits. He will drive in and he'll be able to take a one stop in this race, but these tyres are not going to be happy at all. Volakongan's, on the other hand, he has a bit of clean air now, around about 12 seconds to Ryderdal, but he has to nurse these tyres. He's got to play it very carefully not to use too much of these tyres, because if they go bang at 23 laps and Volakongan's got to take him that, he might find himself getting a puncture on the final lap of this race, and that would be bitterly disappointing indeed.
Well, Ryderdal's got to chase down about 1.5 seconds a lap here on Volakongan on those medium tyres. So Volakongan, if he can just nurse it all the way home, he's happy with what he's done. Fedamori effectively third, but he'll have to go 14 laps on a medium tyre. That's going to be nightmarish to deal with. Finally, Otso Zito will come into the pits then. Be careful that you don't burst the tyre as you try and slow it down on the brakes. The Ferrari crews will come out for him. Then as he sits, this middle group now, Leon is stuck slap bang in the middle of it, and he just needs tyres to wane away so he can go and attack those hard tyres as they go through. Otso Zito will fall, no surprises, right down to the very back of this group as they go. Yoopop through on Fedamori, that will make the pass up then as he goes into third, and he'll have about 2.5 seconds to chase. Look at the heavy braking. Christian with another 3 seconds of penalty. Spiga now has Armateo all over the back, and Leon is going to be yapping at the heels trying to get by a couple of angry sharks who are angry at the fact that they're having to defend all of these places. And again, around the outside.
Whoa!
Oh my! Big contact there as Aaron Wright dives down the inside of W. Monza. Will open up the chance for Snack to get involved.
Yeah, a very, very late break of that one from Aaron. I think it was more of a mistake more than an attempt at an overtake from the AMR man. He'll probably hold his hands up at the end of this race and say, sorry, that's entirely on me on that situation. But he's now going to try and maintain this one. And I'm looking how he's taking these corners, and I think he might have got some kind of damage on that front wing as well, because he's getting a bucket of understeer. Unless that was dirty air, that Ferrari on one lap old medium tyres with the wing damage.
Yeah.
Oh, he has. He's got wing damage. That is awful, because the strategy is all reliant upon him keeping it clean. He hasn't done, and now he's going to pay the price.
Now you start wondering what's the best type of wing damage. Is it the front right or the front left? That you'd rather not have the downforce on, and you're going through a lot of right-hand corners here on this clockwise circuit. So I'd rather have the front left maybe a little bit biffed up rather than the front right. So it's better if you're in a position like Mateo. Here comes Ventari Leon trying to get to the inside.
That's
He's leaning on the tyre and trying to muscle his way around the outside. That is a touring car style pass there from Leon. He shoves out wide then the driver with him, and that's just open snack up with a chance, and now they're all going to start trying to spear for an angle.
Wow.
W Monza to the inside, and so clearance done by Leon up into 6th position, but everybody is tripping over each other. Look in the background there, and also Zito trying to give himself options. It looks like Aaron Rye there in 10th was trying everything he could to go and get himself the chance. Oh my goodness, there goes the entire front wing.
Yeah, bang. That was a horrible collision there involving Spiga. Now he's got a severe front wing damage as a result of that one. Not sure what happened. They were clearly going side by side through there where the corners were just not available. While that's happening, as you said, tripping over each other. It's allowed Leon a mistake there from Otzozito. Might involve Danny in the mix as well as the AMS driver. Opportunity now for Leon, because he's just able to keep it clean on these hard tyres. He can then sift his way through tyres. Remember, around about 6 laps these mediums went before the hard tyres ended up coming back on towards the beginning of this race. This is where Leon's race is now going to be made or broken, and as it stands so far, with everyone else tripping over each other, he's just taking positions left, right and centre. P6.
Yeah, it's P6 for now. He'll want to jump up. Gavroche, by comparison, has come in for a second set of hard tyres, and he'll be looking to try and climb up through the order. He's down in 14th as things currently stand right now. So with Yoopawop here, 1 lap fresher tyres to Riederdal. He's actually done really well to catch to the back of the ET8 Red Bull that is there in front. So that's going to be critical as they go. Remember, there's 5 points difference between first and second. So let's call a spade a spade. There's 1 point then for the pole position. So it's 4 points that have gained so far then by Shazoo Cedars. And they'll look around at Armateo and Snack. 5th place, 7th, that will be, again, 4 points. Effectively, it will be parity restores itself heading to Interlagos in a week, which I would say is, again, just brilliant with this championship.
Yeah, fantastic stuff out there at the moment between the front two, but the midfield are the ones that are going to be extremely happy, especially with the likes at the moment of Leon, who's trying to close down that gap on Mateo, who is getting dangerously close to losing the DRS at the moment on Fed Mori, and that is probably as a result of the wing damage that he's probably not replaced, in all fairness. We'll see. Yeah, they're still missing that left side end plate, so he's elected not to change the front wing and try and manage this race pace, but he's getting perilously close to losing to the back of Angry Sharks Racing Team's drivers Fed Mori, and that's allowing Leon to get very close indeed. As said, this is his part of the race now. He's got to consider getting these inroads done as quickly as he possibly can, whilst everyone's mediums are falling off, to try and close down on Volakongan, who's now obviously on 16-lap-old hard tyres. He's got to maintain them for the next 6.
Well, he just needs the tyres to hold, and he's there. 10 seconds right now. You're talking 2 seconds a lap. Needs to be chased down. Nobody's doing that at the moment. It would take a puncture on Volakongan for this race to go the other way by my mark of metric at this stage, and I would turn around and see Yoopawop unable to get by ET8 Riederdal, and that pretty much is the race. They are fighting at the moment for the minor positions. They've got 5 seconds almost now on Fedamori.
Yeah, this is the critical thing now, isn't it, for Fed Mori? He's got to try and maintain this one on old medium tyres now. They're significantly older. Joop gets the move done on Ryderdal. This is the battle for P2, but remember, they may need to make another pit stop. We'll have to see if they can maintain the tyres at least and take them all the way to the end, as we've got Leon trying to close down on the others, as we've got battles happening behind. Otsuzito and Monza getting in a little scrap at turn 3. Opportunity potentially on the cards for Otsuzito, because he'll have the traction out of the corner towards turn 4. He'll have the outside of the corner, but he'll have the inside of the next one. If he could get this one to work very well, hopefully not interfering with the Shizou Cedar Igniter, make it a double overtake. Fantastic from Otsuzito. If he could get this one to work, here goes a dive though from Monza in this one, side by side.
Wow.
It looked like to be a double overtake, but very well defended from Monza, but they're still side by side into the next corner. Can he make it work? Mistake from the RSC man, as AMR managed to get the move done. The double overtake did work a treat. They continue side by side, but Otsuzito gets the gap. P7.
That's big, and Monza had to abandon ship there through the corner. I wonder if he picked up a warning for how far wide that he found himself across the circuit. That would have been the biggest scare out there in terms of what he was hoping for. Snack is still stuck in 9th place, and a driver who looked like he was going to qualify it on the front now is going to find himself very much in the mid-pack, getting as much as they can to go forward with it. It will bring drivers like Caden and Knight back into the group, but W Monza now, I'm sure, is going to be staring down the barrel of the teams in front saying, look, I've got a job to do. I've got to start chasing. Now watch out, because here I come. Here's Aaron Rye on board with, on the back of Snack, and Snack's result here is going to be huge, because at the moment, it is ET8 who will be walking away with a few more points by the looks of things. On the brakes goes Knight, down the inside of Caden, easy done.
Yeah, Knight's had a really good race here tonight for AMS. It's a good points haul for them for P11 as it stands. He'll hope that he can potentially chase down maybe a P10 or a P9 maybe on those on the medium tyres that are starting to age pretty badly. But it's even worse for Volakongan. Gap was around about 10.1 a couple of laps ago. It's now 8.3 as the tyres will start to really fall off a cliff now that are now 18. It'll be 19 laps old when he comes across the line with 3 to go. Here's Leon, who tries to get this one past Matteo. He's got to get this done quickly if he wants to get at least on the podium. As it stands, Matteo is defending like a lion.
Well, Matteo has to, because he knows how critical it is. But look at this. He's going to get the run underneath him on the Peraltada. That's mega of a launch then. Leon now's going to need the straight line. He's going to need the DRS. And now they're going to be even on the straights here. So through the gears, it's a bit better from Matteo. He comes across to the middle. How far over are you going to force him to go? How far over are you going to force him to go? Oh, my goodness me. Just lisking over on the defense. Leon nowhere to go. He gets sandwiched there with Otsuzito as well. And this is a case of build a wall. You can't climb him, can't go over him, can't go under him.
Good man.
Oh, guess what? I'll try and go through him. Then here at this next section, still nothing, and the outside's still not going to work. Still going to have to try here down at the Hawkia. Still trying to hold the outside line. He's now finally going to get the inside here. This is tough. Look at him. 4 lots of wheel banging into the S's. Brilliant stuff. And Matteo yields at long last. Sit down, boy.
Oh, fantastic racing between the pair of them. In the end, I think Matteo was trying to squeeze him to the inside, but with the car already there, you can't do that, son. And he realised he made his mistake by going to the racing line, and as a result, he's giving that position up to Leon. He wants to try and get past Fed Mori, and he's got to try and get those hard tyres at least significantly faster than those on the mediums at the moment, but the gap is so large with so little time left. Volakonga's done a very decent job to maintain this gap between Poop at the moment, gap around about 7.5 now. But those tyres are going to feel very aged indeed. 2 to go.
Well, you're staring down. It's 3 to go at the moment, and they'll be looking around at this thinking, okay, lap 34, it's all gloves are off now, and we are fighting for every place we can. Leon will be going for a 4th place at best by the looks of things, which Fed Mori gives some credit here to the Angry Sharks. They have really had to hold their nerve today. Their best was a 2nd as they go through all huge lunges now. Down in, straight back goes Matteo on Leon, and they're not done yet because they're going to trip up over each other. Leon trying to go the long way around. The door left ajar there for Otsuzito. He can't jump on it. Leon's not having any help to go and work with it right now. Yopuop is down 7.5 seconds on Volakongan. We'll need a Volakongan tyre blowout to go and get this. But at the moment, everyone's just been outthought by SCI.
Yeah, Volakonga going for the one-stop has been clearly inspired at the moment. But remember, the punctures came in around about lap 22-23. That's a late breaker, isn't it? Down the inside line of Otsazito. He's going into the stadium section. Wants to try and maintain it here with Matteo. They're still side by side, but off of the circuit. It's getting a little bit mad here as Monza has managed to get the double on both of them as a result. And here comes that CI Snack as well. While they've been all battling, they've lost positions left, right and centre. DRS available for every single one of them as a result of this. But they're going to continue fighting line astern. Who's going to be the widest car out of these guys? I suspect it's going to be Monza, but it may be a late breaker. Here comes the AMS driver of night as well, who's getting in there, remember, on a hard tyre. He's got much more grip than everyone else has the Williams as they continue going and trying to start colliding with the AMS and the AMR driver in that one, as well as Leon has got past Ferramore. It's Monza still in P6. Matteo with all of that wing damage is still in there. AMS Knight is defending around the outside against the Ferrari, but the AMR driver cannot hold on to that one, surely. AMS now up to P9. It's a great race from him.
2 by 2 by 2 along the Transera, and now they start wondering, okay, what's next? That was absolutely everything you could chuck, everything you can on it. Gavroche gets 3. Spiger's on a soft to steal the fastest lap bonus point away. And now you start wandering about from everybody in this group. Monza's up to 6. Snack is 7th. Mateo in 8th. AMS Knight trying to get up higher than 9th place. Any place they can get, they might be able to move off the foot. But for the moment, it's this guy leading. Volakongan, a big fan favourite out there. They've been saying hello for him all over this race right now. And he knows that he has outthought everyone so long as the tyre holds its station. W Monza can't do anything. Leon up into 4th, Fedamori in 5th. And there is Knight. No chance then at the best place to go and get it done. Spiger gets 3 seconds worth of penalty to work with 2 on his outlap. But Knight trying to get that 8th place. This is to move them off the bottom of the order compared to Tatum Restek, and still not quite in position. Monza still trying to find a way by Fedamori. Fedamori is holding his ground. What a day it will be. But we got to go back up to Volakongan, who enters the Forest-Sol for the final time. They said a one-stop could never be done. Well, guess what? He will prove everyone wrong. He could climb all the way up to the Mythica, and it is King Kongan who will get it done at Mexico City. SCI want a title fight and a win as big as you can possibly have it. Europa will get 2nd, and ET8 Ryderdal will come to the line in 3rd. They're still scrapping late. Monza's going to get Fedamori late on. Snack's only going to get 7th with Mateo in 9th. And suddenly, SCI have a chance, and over the line, Monza gives it back to Fedamori.
Yeah, it might be because a bit of ghosting happening there. So Fedamori keeping on to P5, RSC P6, SCI P7, AMS P8. What a great result that is for Alien Motorsport here tonight. Spiger's trying to go for the fastest lap in this race, by the way. Got a time penalty on the last lap, so it might not even count, but he's going to get the purple second sector anyway. So this will, of course, perhaps be a little bit faster than the previous lap on that situation, which will, of course, help him out. TRT, what a horrible race it's been for them. Down at the back, 16th and 17th. They'll get points off of the back of Matthias Cuillet and Kevin Zunberg retiring from this race. Will it be another fastest lap for Spiger? It will, so it will definitely classify with the fastest lap as well. Aaron will not finish in P15. He will finish wherever he finished on circuit, which I believe was P11. What a race result that is for Volakongan, though. One stop, what an inspired drive.
It's a wonderful decision by SCI, and it's just proven today they can win on pure pace with Silo. They can have drivers like Snack who can go up to the top level and say we can run tandem and run away from everyone, and they can also outthink everybody else. Get the phone out, why not? That is a huge win for SCI, and it will put ET8 for the first time in 3 years on the back foot heading into the final 3 rounds of the championship. Every race is going to stand out as must make, must get results, and you are seeing it here right now, that this is about who can give each other a chance. And you know, James, it's huge right now seeing what SCI are doing. They came in with a 10-point deficit right off the beginning. They basically fought the entire championship with a chip on their shoulder, and now they are the couch commanders.
I said in 2026 that as a result of a bunch of drivers decided to leave console and move over to PC, that actually SCI were going to be on the back foot. But you know what? Across the esports sphere at the moment, they are proving to be the team that cannot be beaten at the moment. And as it stands so far, it's multiple different championships that they're leading on. And it's going to be this one, surely, after that inspired drive from Volakongan. That was unbelievable to take those hard tires 22 laps when we've seen punctures happen probably earlier than that in other races. Fantastic.
And ETA haven't really had a bad day at the office. You would have said they putted at par for the course here around this place. But the issue that they've got, it's okay if you play par, get 3 and a 9. At the moment, you've got the sim racing equivalent of Scotty Scheffler you're up against in SCI.
Problem is that they keep striking par when everyone else is getting birdies and all the other ones as well. I don't, you know, they albatross, whatever bird you want to call it. The point is that at the moment they are just sort of navigating their way through the esports sphere, and it's proving to be a bit of a challenge. And the further challenge as well for ETA is that their entries, their roster is aging as well, so they're not really able to commit as much time into this game, and as a result they're slowing down, and that is where you start to see people struggle. And ETA not recruiting this new talent is making them really pay the price, and this is what's happening. They're surely not leading this championship anymore.
Well, I believe the bird you're looking for is an eagle, but let's look to where we are in 7 days'
I don't play
time,
golf.
because we are going to be at Interlagos, or Between Lakes, as it is known in native Brazilian. The outskirts of Sao Paulo is where we head to next. And if you want battling like here at Mexico City, Brazil is the sort of circuit where every corner is an overtaking opportunity, and that's not hyperbole.
I love Interlagos. It just absolutely always brings drama, doesn't it? In real life F1, in fake F1, in other racing categories as well. It's just such a perfect circuit, consistent of the long straights that offer a great opportunity for some overtaking, especially into the tight corner of turn 1 with the turn 2 complex going downhill. And then the medium speed corners in the midfield where you pay the price if you get it wrong. And then going through Shower back up the hill again. It's just pure perfection. Should make for a good race next week.
It certainly should. The only place you can catch it is with us and the Velocity Ultimate Masters, which is brought to you in collaboration with Hyundai, with Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. From James Otter and myself, Jake Sperry, we are in with 3 rounds of racing left to go, with an all-time classic that's about to set itself up. SCI look to dethrone the reigning champions, the 2-time champions ET8. Their top spot gets a dent in it. They have to cede some ground here today because of the work that is done by Snack, who kept himself in the mix and had a strong result. But critically, as chat goes wild with it, the flag of Norway is the one that is going to fly as better as anyone else. Move over Kleibo, because this is King Volakongan. His win today, critical for the championship, and Interlagos is a place where fireworks tend to continue to amplify.